mean, it could probably have been made harder by dumping them down into the lower bracket of this part of the main event as well, I suppose, if you want to make it really hard. But just talk us through their run.
I think it really helps that they played through the wild card and then the group stage. Like, you know, when you're playing in this big tournament, I think you'd much rather just be playing Dota instead of watching all the teams studying, because that's not normally what you're doing. When you're practicing and you're practicing leading up to the months of TI, you're not inspecting every single replay. You're trying to get a better feel for the patch and get a better feel for how you can work well with your team. And I think it's no surprise that, you know, they play the most games, but on top of that, they just seem the most prepared and the most adapted at 6.84.
Any additions to that, Winter?
I think another important point is when you go through the wildcards, you know you can do it. You have the confidence. You don't want to just come here. Okay, we're just going to play in the event, and you just want to come here and do your best. But winning the wildcard gives them a lot of confidence.
And what we said yesterday as well, I think you come off a high. You don't really have any expectations because as a wildcard team, making it to the main event was your goal prior to TI. I mean, winning it all would be nice as well, of course, but your focus is to get through the wildcard matches. So they're playing without limitations, and they're just showing that they're so strong. And it's actually kind of interesting to know that if eHome would have won yesterday against EG, it would have been the qualifier finals again as winners back at finals, and that's just crazy, actually.
Yeah, it would have been amazing to have all those qualifier teams at that far in the tournament. We would have got top two, I mean, out of the top three, 2 qualifier teams. I think it's insane. It says a lot about how tough the competition is this year. I don't think anyone could have predicted that.
Yeah, quality's definitely gone up every year, isn't it? I mean, without any disrespect to the former champions, every year it gets harder and harder because there is a wider player pool, a wider team pool. So this year the gap seems to be much smaller this year. Is that fair?
Definitely. And I think also everyone's getting better, so the difference now comes on a lot to... and we've had a bit of everything in that tournament, in the sense that you have the team that's not afraid of losing. That's something you need to have if you want to do well. You have the team that it was MVP. I think they were like, well, we don't even understand that CI. We just come into the game and we just play our best and we have fun. Having fun is a big part of it. It really is. Not being afraid of losing, having fun, striving for, like, going for the best, for the top one. All those, you know, psychological aspects are very important.
Yeah, I think the thing I got out of most of the commentary and the interviews from some of the players that have played in the teams that weren't very or weren't expected to do very well. MVP, particularly March, has said it. Complexity have said it, and I think CDEC have said it as well. They're playing with no fear, and those three kind of shining examples for that kind of play.
To be honest, everybody is playing without fear apart from EG. I had to say it. I'm sorry.
That was a good one. I liked it.
I'm going to give it 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's actually quite decent. Thank you.
I thought that was pretty punny. That's pretty good. Winter's still sitting there thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What was the joke about? Wait, fear, EG?
Talking of fear, would he feature in the top 10? Has he had a good tournament? Because it feels like he has.
He's always been very stable. He never loses it for his team.
I guess he just got overshined by Sumail a lot.
Yeah,
but he's been really stable.
And Sumail would be in that top 10, surely.
Yeah.
Some of the games I know he's blown a little bit hot and cold. Some of the first games he had seemed to be a bit quieter, but he's won games almost single-handedly as well.
To me, really, to say that Sumail is one of the best, I think his potential is definitely up there. Maybe the best. Like when he has a good game, he's easily, to me, top 3 in this international, maybe even further.
And that's incredible at such a young age. And
it really is. But I have to say, if I want to be fully honest, that's the way I see it. When he gets, shut down early on, I haven't seen Sumail have a high impact with very little. He's not going to be that, I don't know, let's say that Lina that just has power treads and not even a Yules, 15 minutes in, tries to run around and can do the difference. He's going to go, get his farm, and then start, going for moves.
In a year from now, he could be the best player in Dota 2, couldn't he?
He could easily be.
Yeah, lots of potential, lots of ceiling. Some of the other players that we picked out, CTY has had a great tournament so far. Maybe is on that list as well. Silent, Burning, QO even has had some phenomenal games for MVP Phoenix.
All core players.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point to say, that every one of those core players, the only reason they can perform is because they have a good support system behind them, a good support duo.
Absolutely.
Good offlaner to create the space they need. And it's really tough to try and get that balance right, to know which player actually made sure that this player could be at the top of their game.
Yeah, I mean, FY and Fenrir as a partnership is phenomenal, and I think they've started to show their greatness again, certainly in the last game that they played.
Definitely, I chose them as my MVP of the tournament, and that's not going to stop. Next series, I'm really looking forward to seeing them play again.
People say a lot that at this level in top teams, what's going to make the difference is going to be the support players, because the core players are so stable, and they just do what they have to do, and they do what they're expected to do. Whereas support players, especially in the early game, it's a bit more random. It comes more to their own individual decision making.
Okay, we're showing the top 5 core heroes behind you right now. Gyro, Queen of Pain's on there, Lena's on there. Anything in terms of the way that we've seen the meta play out through the tournament? There are no massive surprises in there, are there?
For me, Queen of Pain being up there, and as well as Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend so far in the main event. 25% win rate?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 for 9. It's not that great. Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain, 27%, 3 for 8.
She hasn't been picked a lot, I recall yesterday. LGD has been ignoring him. CDAC has been ignoring
VP picked it a lot, but besides them, I don't think it has.
Yeah.
Okay. We are almost ready for our first game of the day. As you probably heard, the horn has sound. So we'll get into our first games. Our first game, of course, of the day in the lower bracket. And we'll start off with MVP Phoenix. Now, they've had the man who said it all, and he's roared it all as well. Here's March.
When did you all arrive?
2 days ago.
Okay. And what have you been doing since you got here?
Just playing Dota,
Yeah.
practicing, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what the practice sessions have been like for your team leading up to the international.
We're actually in a kind of bad region where we get a delay playing against Chinese or C teams. So we spend a lot of time playing against our brother team, MVP Hot Six. We scrimmed a bunch of games, and then some fair amount of games against Chinese teams as well, yeah.
That's interesting you bring that up, because that's something I find fascinating. Gaming is huge in South Korea, but Dota, not so much.
Not really.
What made you decide to play Dota?
Well, I used to live in Canada, and then so it was big. Dota was big, and then
Right.
and then I was into Dota. I was playing competitive, and then I finished my school, so I had to go back to Korea. And when I went back, I figured out there's gonna be a Dota team, so I joined up, and then here I am.
Well, and you've been, from what I understand, you've been a true leader of bringing Dota to the masses. You've really taken on a leadership role. Why has that been so important to you?
Well, it's a game I love, and then I just wish it could be big in Korea. So I know last year when we first made it to the TI for the wildcard, the number of the people playing Dota increased a lot. So if I do well in TI, and then I guess it means there will be more people interested in Dota, and then hopefully more teams. So Dota is much more competitive in Korea, and then there'll be more people playing, and then South Korean Dota will be strong. I hope that happens.
What would you say are your strongest aspects for your team? What are you strongest at?
We're strongest at having kind of no fear. Like our team usually plays better at the tournament settings than the scrims. There will be teams that will never win against in scrims, but will actually beat them in tournaments and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think that's was the strongest aspect of our team.
What's it like when you know that you have an extra step ahead of you? A lot of the teams are here and they're getting settled in and they're setting their sights on the main stage already, but obviously you have one more playoff between you and the main stage. Do you think that will actually help and give you more momentum for the rest of the tournament if you win, or is that going to be a challenge because you'll be tired?
I don't think it will be a challenge or anything. If I'm good enough to make it top 8, then wild card, I should be going through it with no problem. That's how I feel. So I don't think it's an extra step. It's just that, well, it is an extra step, but like I believe I can just go through it smoothly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm retiring after the CI. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
And what brought up that decision?
I'm just 28.
Nobody says you have to retire at 28. You just feel like you're done?
No, I actually have to go to the military service.
Really?
Korea, yeah.
And how long is that typically?
2 years.
2 years.
Usually people in Korea go at around age of 23, 24, but
Right.
I had to do finish my university, and then I came back here. I could have went to army, but I just decided to do Dota.
Wow.
And then 28 is the longest you can do. So after this year, I'm done.
Does that kind of bum you out? Are you kind of sad about missing out a little bit? Or are you ready to move on from it?
Well, if I do well in TI, I think I'll be ready to move on. But if I don't do well, I'll be like, oh, I could have done better. But yeah, I think I'm going to do well in this TI, and then I'll have no regret left over it.
I like that. That's good. That's a good mentality. So how do you feel about your chances this year, where you are right now versus where you were at this time last year? Because you're facing a very similar situation. Why do you feel so much more confident this time around?
Because I guess we have done it last year once, and then even last year, I think we could have made it through, but there was a lot of mentality thing, and then a lot of being inexperienced or not knowing so much about Dota meta in general. Like, but now this year, I think we're much more prepared, and then we understand well. Yeah, I think that's why I'm much more confident this year.
Anything that you want to say to South Korean fans who might be watching the stream?
Thanks for staying up late and watching our game, because it will be like 3 in the morning.
Yeah. True fans.
Yeah, true fans.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
I'm not sure there's a more appropriate name for a team at the International this year. MVP Phoenix literally having risen from the ashes of the wildcards all the way through the group stages and the lower brackets. Now find themselves in the bottom brackets and in the top 8. They go head to head with Vici Gaming.
就是虽然 VG 组队的时候我还不在嘛，但是我是听说，当时 VG 是